Jalen Duren is off to an all-star quality start for the Detroit Pistons this season, who've been playing great basketball to begin the 2025-2026 NBA campaign, with Duren posting career numbers: 19.4 points per game, 12 rebounds a night, 2.3 stocks on absurd efficiency, over 70% true shooting percentage. I wanted to use this video to break down what Jalen Duren's doing great, big strides he's taken in his game this year, and the things that are helping the Detroit Pistons win games. We're going to focus on the offense and the defense and the rebounding in this video. It's going to be an all-encompassing video covering every little aspect of Jalen Duren's game. Hopefully you guys do enjoy. If you do, be sure to leave a like and subscribe. And real quick, I wanted to give myself a shout out with my pre-draft evaluation. You can read it here on the right side of the screen. This was the little short write-up I did during that draft cycle. My one-word summary for him was Bam. Comparing him to Bam Adebayo, I was the only person, from my knowledge, to have Jalen Duren in the top 5 on my final big board, which I think has aged very, very well. Jalen Duren's been an awesome player early in his career. He was extremely young coming into the draft, and he continues to get better and better and better, and the sky really is the limit for Jalen Duren, who can continue to grow, continue to blossom, and he's doing so many things well. And he has me really excited for the future of the Detroit Pistons. And I think if you look at his impact this season, it is undeniable. We're going to look at his numbers here alongside Cade Cunningham and without Cade Cunningham and see how impactful he's been in leading winning for the Detroit Pistons. With both Duren and Cade Cunningham on the floor this year with low leverage removed, shout out to Data Ball R, by the way, in the 260 minutes without low leverage, the Pistons have outscored their opponents by 10 points per 100 possessions with both Duren and Cunningham on the floor. And that number actually drops a ton when Duren leaves the floor in the 128 minutes of non-low leverage basketball that Cade Cunningham has played sans Jalen Duren this year. He's still winning his minutes, but significantly less so. And I think Duren specifically, now very small sample size here, just 40 minutes so far this season, again very early in the year, without Cade Cunningham, he has dominated in those 40 minutes. Now, again, that's very small sample size. These things are subject to change. This is in no way any Cade Cunningham slander. I've been a huge Cade Cunningham fan for a very long time. So I think the combination here, the pairing, is what makes this team really tick and run. The ability to play together, play off of each other. Duren as a screen setter, roll man, and then Cade Cunningham using his size to make very difficult high-level read passes, initiate a ton of Detroit's offense, especially without Jaden Ivey early in the season here. A lot of pressure has been on Cade Cunningham's shoulders, and for the most part, he's been delivering, but Jalen Duren has been a huge cog in the machine as well for the Pistons this season, and it comes with some awesome numbers for Duren to begin the year. He leads the NBA in paint touches per game according to NBA.com. Now, the tracking data sometimes can be a little wonky, but nonetheless, according to the NBA tracking, he is generating a ton of paint touches, catching the ball down around the block, and I think a lot of it stems from his ability to function as a roll man, both in short roll and long roll scenarios, and his ability to play into space, be a rim threat. He just does such a great job. So we're going to look at that pick and roll volume and the role variation here working with Cade Cunningham. And one of the things that stands out to me, not only is he a great vertical lob threat, something he has been for a long time, even going back to his Memphis film, but one thing he does really well here, and it's on this play specifically that I think is a great time to highlight it, he has a really good understanding of where his defender is and what that means for his rolling ability. In this clip here, some bigs like to set big, strong screens and hold those screens. And that's a very valuable thing, and Duren does a decent job of that as well. But here, he knows Kevin Love is up at the level of the screen, which means the paint behind him is completely vacated. And with that understanding and knowing how big his point guard is in Cade Cunningham, he knows that if he slips downhill and gets behind the defense, Cade is going to be able to put the ball in a spot where only Jalen Duren can catch it, and his ability to slip screens, work downhill, here he is setting essentially a ghost slip screen in this example in early transition against Utah. He just has this really great innate understanding of how to work downhill. Here he flows into a dribble handoff with Duncan Robinson and then sets a ball screen for Cade Cunningham in what ultimately becomes a horns action. And again here now, after a good hit on the screen, Cade Cunningham's going to be able to work downhill, and Duren has initiated advantage for the Detroit Pistons half-court offense. And Cade Cunningham does a great job, keeps his dribble alive with a hang dribble, and then gets here to a spot where now he's putting pressure on the weak side defender and the low man on this play, because once he gets to this dribble pickup here, both are responsible for 2 Pistons players. We have to be cautious of Duncan Robinson because Cade's able to make that pass to the wing, but you also have to be weary of the roll man, Jalen Duren, and the low man here is also concerned with the strong side corner and the roll man. And Cade Cunningham's patience, his ability to process and then make a beautiful pass over the top utilizing his size to his advantage, sets up an awesome lob dunk. And again, Duren's doing a great job getting downhill in these clips. We're going to also now look at some short roll examples, and this is an empty side ball screen here for the Detroit Pistons. Cade Cunningham is going to work to the middle of the floor at Andre Drummond, who is in drop right here. And Jalen Duren is going to be able to roll into this open space. That's the beautiful thing about empty side pick and roll. One of the best trends in the NBA over the last 10 years or so is getting more and more and more empty side ball screens, because it puts defenders on the weak side of the lane line, and it causes longer rotations where if Duren does catch in this space, he can make reads and he can attack off the dribble, he can attack into open space, and that's exactly what happens in this clip. Cade Cunningham gets 2 to the basketball, makes a very nice pass over the top, and this is where Jalen Duren has taken significant strides forward as an offensive player since coming into the NBA out of Memphis, where his ability to play patiently, play into traffic, use his footwork, his balance, and then finish at the rim has just continued to level up year after year after year. Shows off a really nice lefty finish there. Here he is working again in the short roll. And again, this is where that understanding of, hey, I did my job in this screen, gets enough of a hit on VJ Edgecombe that, again, Andre Drummond goes to blitz the basketball. And the moment that you have 2 players on the basketball, you are now able to play 4 on 3 on the opposite side of the court. And with that being the case, Jalen Duren, who is continuing to grow as a player, not only does he catch the ball in the middle of the floor, but then he's aggressive with it, goes all the way to the rim in both of the recent short roll examples. That's one of the things that's really impressed me with his short roll play this year. He is ferocious. He has been an absolute monster once he catches the ball, because he is not settling for anything. He is going to the rim, and he is going to dunk on you if he has to. He's been absolutely incredible. There's a really nice, beautiful left-handed hook as well, taking his time, being very patient. Here he sets an off-ball screen for Duncan Robinson, and then comes back up to set another rescreen for him. And Duncan Robinson does a great job getting the ball up to his left hand, and Duren shows off some of that footwork as well. Again, he's been growing and evolving as an offensive player. The skill set has emerged and evolved in such a great way since he was at Memphis. And a lot of what I had projected for him offensively, he's even surpassed, I think, already at this point. His footwork, his intelligence, and his patience as well offensively. I think patience is such an important thing, especially for someone who's going to function in short rolls. And he has just taken significant strides. Here he catches at the nail. Ace Bailey meets him with good help. And you see on the weak side here, Keontae George now asked to guard 2. And with the Pistons in advantage, Jalen Duren is going to go to work. Takes his space, gets to a floater, very nice basketball, very patient again on the catch, and he's processing everything that's happening for him. Here he sets an off-ball screen. I'm going to go back even because I think this is a really great clip and shows some of the genius of JB Bickerstaff. We're setting a wide pin screen here for an elite shooter as Duncan Robinson comes off. This is why movement shooters are so valuable, by the way. They continue to get overlooked year after year after year throughout the draft, throughout free agency. People will say, oh, he's just a shooter. Well, being just a shooter can be really valuable, especially for someone like Duncan Robinson who can also make some timely passes. Here in this empty side turn ball screen now, essentially, after Cade Cunningham makes a timely delivery to Duncan. Now Drummond, again, commits to the basketball, and you see that same empty side principles we talked about earlier, where Duren is catching the ball into space. And the timing of this is beautiful. Duren goes to a strong finish at the rim without anyone in his way to stop him. Duren sets another off-ball screen into a screen, rescreen for Cade Cunningham. Again, very good understanding. As soon as 2 goes to the basketball, Jalen Duren turns and finds the ball, rolls, and he rolls with intent and purpose, catches the ball at the nail. And this is what I'm talking about, man. He is a man's man. That is a monster jam, and it just gets me fired up. It's so much fun to watch, and the Pistons have been so good this year, and Jalen Duren's such a key part of it because of plays like this, where he catches in the middle, and then he doesn't settle. He goes to the rim and exerts his power. Very great catch here, and it's not just finishing. That's a timely read. Now, he is only averaging about 1.5 assists per game this year, which I think he's capable of a lot more than that, but the 1.5 assists, I think, have been very good. And I know the numbers, the raw stats aren't going to say, well, this guy's a great playmaker, but I think the process has been so good for him this season so far, and I expect those assist numbers to continue to trend upward moving forward. We're now going to look at examples of him running the floor hard, and then also just using his size to his advantage. Here he has Cam Whitmore on him, and he's just going to look for a seal post-up. Catches, again, takes his time, goes to a nice one-dribble, right-handed finish at the rim. Again, toward the rim. Everything he's doing is toward the rim, and I think it's very effective. Here he's got Chris Middleton on a switch in mid-transition, and he's able to finish that one at the rim as well with a nice right hook. Short roll example here again. Now he doesn't get the ball here. Kay Cunningham misses him at the nail, but he just knows where to position himself. He hangs out around the paint, around the rim, and this is where you're going to see some of his rim gravity as well. Ultimately, we do see a nice pass from Bobby Klintman there to get him that lob dunk. Working here with Kay Cunningham again, Luka Garza in drop. The Pistons work outside of the pick and roll with a nice cross-court kick to Tobias. Tobias drives it, and Duren, after rolling, keeps himself available, shows his hands, and is always ready to make a play, be ready off the catch. Kay Cunningham attacks a closeout here, drops it off to Osar, and Osar drops it off to Duren for the monster slam against the Boston Celtics in what was one of Duren's best games this season. Osar here kicks it to Cade in kind of late transition. Cade attacks a bad closeout here by Svi Mikhailuk, and Duren just cuts to the rim. He's been a very effective cutter as well this season, external to the pick and roll. Of course, very similar skills apply to both areas as a roll man and as a cutter, and he's been very adept at both of those things here. Watch this Kay Cunningham post up. This, of course, starts to sound red flags for the Sixers, who shift their defense heavily over. Tyrese Maxey's going to show. Andre Drummond's going to go blitz the ball, and we've got bodies in the paint trying to contain Kay Cunningham, show faces and bodies at their best player. And as that happens, Duren goes and cuts to the basketball and then goes up and meets it with two strong hands to rip it out of the air. Dennis Jenkins here with the drive. A nice lob up to Duren there as well. You're seeing the cutting value as well as the roll value, both in the short roll and the long roll. His physical tools, the ability to go above the rim, play above the rim consistently, and then not only the ability to do it, but the desire to do it all the time. And that's part of what's contributing to his superb true shooting percentage to start the year, is the fact that he's getting so much rim volume, and especially above the rim volume this year. But another thing that makes Kay Cunningham really special, and one of the things I liked the most about him coming out of Memphis, was his ability to handle the ball a little bit and make decisions, make reads, process the court. I talked about how I don't think his playmaking numbers are really doing justice to what he's actually capable of accomplishing on the floor and what his process has looked like this year. I think this is great examples here with him flowing into dribble handoffs, opening up Duncan Robinson. One of my favorite signings of the offseason was Duncan to Detroit because of my pre-draft comparison, remember, to Bam Adebayo. Bam and Duncan had such great chemistry together in their two-man game, and we're seeing some of that between Duncan and Duren this year, where Robinson's able to play into advantage because of Duren's ability to flow into dribble handoffs. Here's another great example. Frees up Duncan just a little bit with a nice screen onto Svi Mikhailuk on the handoff. The timing, the chemistry, I think, is starting to really emerge here between these two, which is not unexpected. And then he also has some bag work to him as well. The ability to drive the basketball, which is very unique for a big man out of the middle third of the floor specifically. And that's where you're seeing a lot of his work in these clips, by the way, is working down these lane lines and inside these lane lines. And what makes it difficult there is it's hard to send help. So when you have guys flying off of dribble handoffs, for example, it's hard to effectively show an extra body from the weak side because they're down the middle of the floor and there is essentially no strong side, no weak side. And it makes it very difficult to send bodies at him. So when he's working out of the middle, first of all, it can flow into easy offense, but it's also giving him abilities to work downhill without seeing extra doubles, extra bodies. And when he does, he is able to make the nice read out to an Isaiah Stewart corner three like he did in that example. Here he is again off the top of the key. You're going to see him look for a dribble handoff. It's not there. Hey, I'll just take Andre Drummond off the bounce, beat him to the hole, and score an easy layup. Is capable of doing that. He had his day with Andre Drummond in this game against the 76ers earlier this year, And the skill set, the touch, everything that he's capable of doing has been a real positive. The other thing is, I think, the processing. You see JB Bickerstaff going to him for set plays. This one specifically is a clear out for Cade Cunningham to take advantage of a mismatch here in the post. And look who's initiating this. JB Bickerstaff is trusting Jalen Duren to be the initiator of some of their half-court sets. Not all of them. Obviously, the ball's in Cade Cunningham's hands a lot. But Duren has been capable of identifying mismatches and then making the right play with the ball in his hands around the nail. This is another example here against Memphis where he catches the ball at the top of the key and then realizes, hey, Isaiah Stewart's got the slimmer Santi Aldama on him. This is a good mismatch for Detroit to go at here. Even though Santi Aldama is very long, a good athlete, he's not strong enough to deal with someone like Isaiah Stewart in the low post, and Isaiah Stewart goes to work on him. Very great stuff from Jalen Duren offensively. You can tell why I'm so optimistic about the process, his decision making, his ability to flow into easy offense with guys like Cade Cunningham as a ball screener, like Duncan Robinson and DHOs, put his teammates in advantage consistently in both regards. It's just very good stuff and very reliable, consistent stuff that should not really fade throughout the course of the year. And he's also taken a massive step forward defensively. Now, I've been higher on Jalen Duren as a defender than anybody else, even during the Monty Williams era where Pistons fans were basically burning this guy at the stake, saying he can't guard anybody. What was really happening at the time is there was huge defensive flaws in the system that the Pistons were running. And now with a better system under JB Bickerstaff's tutelage, Jalen Duren has looked like a completely different player over the last year and change for Detroit. And he has been awesome. A sub 55% defensive field goal percentage at the rim. That's a very good number. Not necessarily top end elite. Last year, a guy like Ivica Zubac, for example, held opponents sub 50%, which is really incredible. But Duren is knocking on that door. He's getting better and better and better. And then his overall defensive field goal percentage has been quite great because I think he's doing a good job containing the basketball in ball screen action and then also doing a good job contesting out on the perimeter without fouling a ton. So that's all positive stuff. Let's actually jump into the film now and see what that looks like here for Detroit. And in this action against Philadelphia, you're going to first start seeing some just normal help stuff where he's working off of instincts, rotating over, making some weak side blocks. This is the stuff that was really the low-hanging fruit for him coming out of Memphis. This was the, hey, there's an obvious impact he can have defensively just based on his athletic tools, where he's able to get to shots that a lot of other defenders can't. But the actual technique, the pattern recognition has taken the biggest stride forward in my eyes. Here he is working against Anthony Simons. And I think specifically the key word for you guys here is activity defensively. I think in drop coverage, everyone looks at drop coverage as this passive form of defense where you're mostly retreating and giving up space on the court. That's not necessarily the case. And I think Duren has really figured out that cat and mouse game on the defensive end, how he can be active and drop, showcase his hands, be up at the level of the screen a little bit and drop without jeopardizing the rim runs. And this example here with Luka Garza rolling, with Simons coming off the screen, who's a very good pull-up shooter, he does a great job containing that, allows Dennis Jenkins to get back in front. Then he gets back into the picture with Garza, fights for position, and clears the glass. That's a textbook picture-perfect example of drop coverage. And you're going to see him here off of this flare screen. Ace Bailey catches, turns down the shot. Now, Kevin Love gets a great hit here on Ausar Thompson, but this is where Duren's activity level in drop is great. He is not going to just surrender space to Ace Bailey. Instead, he's going to meet him with a high hand on the shot. This isn't a perfect shot contest, but it's definitely a serviceable one, especially in the middle of the floor here, where this is not the most efficient shot in basketball. Now, a lot of very good players are going to make it at a decently good clip, but this is the type of shot that teams are willing to live with. This is why you play drop coverage. And as long as you get some form of contest, you're going to live with this kind of defense. And I feel like Duren has done such a good job this year being more active and presenting himself more in ball screens defensively. And it's turned into a big reason why he's been such an effective defender this season, because not only does he really care about the defense, but he's been extremely effective in the technique of the defense as well. Here he is in another ball screen, containing the basketball, ultimately blocking Keyshawn George and saving it so the Pistons can get out and run. Here he is working in an inverted ball screen. He is defending Evan Mobley. Part of what makes Evan Mobley such a special player is his ability to handle the ball at his size. And the Cavs are trying to open that up here with a Craig Porter Jr. screen, puts Duncan Robinson in a spot where he has to hedge this to help out Duren. Look at the execution here. Duren knows he has a hedge. What does he do? He fights under. He doesn't overcommit. He doesn't over-pursue the basketball by chasing, and he maintains his ground in space. He is meeting Evan Mobley here on this drive after a very good hedge by Duncan Robinson that kind of blows up the action a little bit. And then you see Duren's strength. He just takes a drive immediately to the chest, doesn't even move, walls up Evan Mobley big time with a huge block. Now, unfortunately, Mobley does recover, and then Duren is called for a foul here, but you can't look at this clip and say, oh, that was bad defense from Jalen Duren. He did a terrific job navigating an inverted ball screen, standing his ground, meeting Evan Mobley on the drive, and then walling him up. And that's where all of the physical tools that he has are great. Here, Tobias Harris got hit on a screen by Nehemiah Queta. He's in chase on Derek White. And Duren, again, kind of playing that cat and mouse game in between the roll man and the ball handler. And the one thing the Pistons are doing better under JB Bickerstaff that they didn't do under Monty Williams is surround Duren with an extra body in the paint. This time it's Cade Cunningham helping out a little bit. It just kind of mucks up the paint just a bit, making the reads more difficult. If you go back to the Monty Williams era of defense, I say defense loosely, it wasn't really defense. They gave up a lot of rim runs off of pick and roll basketball because there weren't showing extra bodies to the paint. They weren't sending any extra help defenders, and they literally left Jalen Duren out to die that entire season. Instead, Duren does a good job kind of playing in between. Derek White's unsure what to do, then ultimately does get to a pull-up. Now, Derek White can make that shot, but Duren's ability to slow down the offensive process for the Celtics allowed Tobias Harris to at least get back into the picture. See him now working against a handoff, maintains his balance well. Yusuf Nurkic fakes the handoff, and he doesn't surrender position, walls up, and then rebounds the basketball. He's a mix of becoming a really good pick and roll defender while also being strong enough to actually defend post-ups, defend drivers, stymie actual big men as well near and around the rim, and he's doing such a great job of all of that. This is another great example here against Boston. Here's his activity level in a hedge. He goes up to hedge the ball screen. Now you say, okay, well, we got two to the basketball. This is when the red flags start sounding. Duncan Robinson, first of all, does a great job here trying to get back in front of Derek White, but then also watch Jalen Duren retreat. Does a good job retreating back to the paint, and then at this point you say, okay, well, from a box-out positioning, he's beat here. Luka Garza's in a spot to get this offensive rebound, you would think 9 times out of 10 with the positioning here. This is where Duren's activity level and strength, he clears Luka Garza under the rim. At this point, now any rebound that does not drop directly down, which is going to be 99% of them, is going to be rebounded by the Pistons. And in fact, Duren himself is the one who grabs the rebound. It's tremendous stuff. His hedge and recover, his drop coverage, it's all looked so much better this season for the Detroit Pistons, and it's got me really fired up. Here he is working against Nehemiah Queta. Jaylen Brown with the mid-post shot attempt here, and watch the box out. This is something that is not going to get a lot of love from anybody, but it needs to get love. Jalen Duren is one of the best box out guys in the entire NBA. He completely walls out and boxes out Nehemiah Queta, and then he's able to lead the break for the Pistons as well. I love his grab and go ability. We talked about his growth as a playmaker and what I still think is going to be capable for him moving forward. He can run the break with the ball in his hands, and that's another thing that makes him such a special big man. Not a lot of fives in the league can lead the break effectively for a team. Jalen Duren can do that for Detroit. Here's another really good box out on Alex Sarr. He grabs and goes again. His ability to process on the floor, a nice timely pocket bounce pass to Cade Cunningham leads to an easy slam there in that game. Now you see him on the offensive end of the floor. It's not just his defensive rebounding, it's also his ability to get on the offensive glass, and specifically his hands. Rebounding, there's a lot of things that go into rebounding. It's positioning, it's IQ, it's, kind of spatial awareness, understanding where the ball's probably going to bounce to, but it's also hand coordination. And this is a great example here. Jalen Duren looks like Odell Beckham Jr. snagging the football. That's an absolute man rebound and a kick out to sustain the possession for the Detroit Pistons. Here he is crashing out of the middle of the floor. Maybe gets away with a little bit of a shove, but then he's strong. After the catch, he's going, again, toward the rim. We talked about his presence at the rim, toward the rim. Here he is off of a ball screen. Again, he's going to go crash the board, and he wants to dunk the basketball. His pursuit, he's done everything right this year. He wants to win. It's so evident watching him play. His pursuit of the ball, his effort level, and his attention to detail have been awesome this season on both ends of the floor, and it really stands out on the offensive glass with just how ferocious he's been getting to loose basketballs. Even when he misses his second chance opportunity, he's creating extra looks for the team, which is a huge W. His hand fighting, his ability to work on the glass, and then again go to the rim after some of those misses and putbacks is just giving Detroit some easy offense to flow into. And if you want to know the difference between winning and losing in the NBA, it's the 2 to 4 points a game that you get on second chance opportunities. And he's done a great job of it this year. Ron Holland can't get this one to go. Duren outworks the smaller Jaylen Brown. Brown tries to put a body on him. It's just not enough. Gets another opportunity for the Pistons. Now Holland doesn't get it to go, but you can see why the process is really solid here for Detroit. We see in Houston how important offensive rebounding is, and Duren has been an absolute beast for the Pistons on the offensive glass this year, cleaning up misses and then converting them back into other opportunities, whether it's on kickouts or his own putback finishes after the fact. He's just been so fun to watch. I hope you guys can feel and hear how excited I am about his play, because it's just been so brilliant this year. Detroit's been winning at a very good clip and a very good mark, and a lot of it is because of how effective Jalen Duren has been. And it's not just the film, okay? I'm not just blowing smoke for you guys here. He's been brilliant. He ranks 5th in the NBA right now in points in the paint per game at almost 14 points a night. He ranks 3rd in the NBA in second chance points a night, almost 5 second chance points per game. And that doesn't even count the ones he's generating for his team on the kickouts. That's just his second chance points per game. And then he's also setting a career high right now in personal fouls drawn per game, doubling his number from last year. Last year he averaged 2.6 personal fouls drawn per game. This year he's up to 5 personal fouls drawn per game, and that alone should showcase to you how much of a rim force he's been and how much pressure, rim gravity he's exerting onto team defenses. He's been so good this season. So when we go back to his impact numbers here, how the net rating looks with him on and off the floor, it is undeniable. The impact that he's had on this team, the value that he provides for the Detroit Pistons on both ends of the floor now. He is an incredible player. He needs to be an all-star this year. He has played like a very, very good all-star. He has been awesome for the Detroit Pistons, and he definitely deserves that honor in February as long as he continues to play at the level that he has been to start the NBA season this year. Thank you all so much for watching. Really hope you guys did enjoy. Be sure to leave a like and subscribe if you did, and we'll catch you in the very next Utility Sports video.